Welcome. Today we're talking with Jeremy Roberts, President and CEO of CBS Academy, an operational consulting and training firm. Jeremy, welcome and thank you for joining us at today's Banker Digest.
Thanks, Larry. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy for the opportunity to chat with you.
Great. All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you. So, Jeremy, when you're talking to your clients, what are the issues and concerns that they're currently talking about?
Well, everybody's focused on customer service, the customer experience, how they measure it, and how they can apply it to all of their interactions with the customer. We're seeing an increasing focus, interest, if you like, on collections performance, either because they're already experiencing a deterioration in their delinquency portfolio numbers, or perhaps because they have a general awareness that things are going to change for consumer and consumers' propensity to pay. And they want to be able to build up a better process to shore up against that. In addition, with everybody's focus these days on the digital transformation and wherever they are on the journey, there's an increasing realization that there's a need to change the skills in the call centers to adapt to an enhanced conversation with the customer now.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Jeremy. So could you please share with us CBS Academy's approach to operational consulting and training as it applies specifically to collections, given the increased concern there?
Sure. We fit well with organizations that similar to us, think that a good collections conversation, a good collections call with a customer and a good customer experience are not mutually exclusive events. It may be that the customer doesn't sort of get off the phone and say, "I'm so happy that my bank collections department just called me." But we do want to make sure that the customer gets off the phone and feels heard, feels understood, that we understand their story of how they ended up in the situation that they're in now. But more to the point, that our highly skilled agents, collections reps, were able to help the customer create a solution, find a way out of the situation that they're in. We fit well with organizations that have a culture of people performance management. They want to ensure that their staff understand what's asked of them, what's required of them, how are they going to be measured, how are they going to be rewarded and recognized for their performance, and what are their opportunities to advance within the organization as well. As such, to do that, we teach collection operations how to do the basic blocking and tackling and do it well. We've been doing this for over 25 years. So we can teach collection agents how to become really good negotiators, how to have a good, courteous, assertive collections call, as I just mentioned. That's actually kind of the easiest thing that we do. The real heavy lifting comes in helping change the culture within an organization to be one of where their first and second line managers are now no longer just managers, they're actually leaders. They become coaches and developers, and we'll teach them how to do that. As you might imagine, over the last few years, the old way of being on site everywhere in a collections contact center of 200 agents and teaching classroom workshops has changed. So now as our customers have moved to, let's call it a work from anywhere type of approach, we've also morphed along the last few years in a similar fashion. So we sort of meet our customers where they are, our clients where they are. If they train on site, we train on site. If they train through Zoom or MS Teams, WebEx video conferences, that's how we train as well. More and more, most of our organization have already moved to e-learning, asynchronous learning, online learning. So we provide all of our content in a similar sort of fashion that way as well. So essentially our customers, our clients, can work anywhere and learn anywhere as well.
Great. Thank you, Jeremy. So what are your clients reporting as the benefits of this approach?
As you know, there's no shortage of things to measure in a collections operation. I will say that sort of, the common goal they all have is collecting more dollars in a more effective fashion. We like to sort of treat that as a dollars collected per hour type of metrics, the value of a paid hour. On average, our clients see somewhere between a 16 to 20% lift in dollars collected per paid hour. Usually it depends on the size of the organization and their scope, usually somewhere around a 6 month sort of time frame. Just last month, one of our clients, and this is quite typical for us, they've worked with us in various roles and in various organizations over the last 20 years. In their current role as a head of collections, just last month, they're telling us in the 5 years since they started working with us and implementing our process, they've seen their average value of a paid hour for a collections agent jump from $200 to $1,000 over the course of those 5 years. And I think perhaps importantly, it's not just dollars collected performance. They've also seen a 97% retention rate in their staff. Their staff are more happy, more engaged. The customers have higher engagement scores with them as well.
Great, thank you. Great numbers, thank you. So Jeremy, what are the typical steps that a bank would use to engage your firm?
Once we start working with them, and we have this sort of mutual alignment of cultures, as I sort of mentioned earlier, if we're a good fit for the organization, we like to impress that this is a leadership-driven, top-down type of approach. As I mentioned earlier, it's quite easy to change skills at an agent level, to train them to do something different in the call, have a new set of negotiation skills. But we need to make sure that we change all of the supporting pieces that help align the objective of the organization with what happens at the tip of the spear, which in this case, we're talking about call center collection agents. So we need to make sure that as I mentioned earlier, that we've trained the frontline managers, supervisors, team leaders, who may have got to that role because they were a top individual performing agent themselves, or perhaps it's through tenure. We need to teach them how to become really great coaches and leaders and developers. So we need to teach them a skill, but we also need to help our client organizations embed a process to support that as well. We need to make sure that all of the ancillary functions that have an impact on agent performance, whether it be the KPIs, the reports that we're using and how we use them, whether it's our incentive plan, HR performance management, QA and compliance. We need to make sure that all of those functions and roles are all aligned so that we're asking for the same thing from an agent performance, whether it's what we measure or what we coach to, and we're also using tools to help sustain that an ongoing process. So when we work with them, we kind of help them implement it very much in this top-down driven approach. So it'll start with the senior leader level workshop, so that the organization knows what needs to happen to make this thrive and not just be a flavor of the month type of approach, but to stick year on year on. We also work with them to make sure that those front levels of leadership, as I mentioned earlier, are trained first, so that the minute that agents come out of call skill training with these great new call model skills, they already have their leadership team ready to start coaching and developing that nascent skill into becoming more of a habit.
Great. Thank you, Jeremy, for taking time today to talk with today's Banker Digest. If banks are experiencing or expecting increased delinquency rates, your holistic, customer service-oriented approach should be a winner for everyone. Again, thank you, Jeremy.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Larry, for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Good. All right. Well, in closing, thank you for joining today's Banker Digest. If you have additional questions for Jeremy, please see the link in his bio.